morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Owal Sarahan, and I'm a policy officer at the LDES, the Long Duration Energy Storage Council. And I will be the initial host for this workshop on energy security for island nations, the role of long duration energy storage. I think I'll just briefly start by saying we're going to have a full agenda today. So we're going to be just into an hour and a half with a lot of things in detail to obviously discuss and learn from each other. I will be briefly passing it over, just looking at time and knowing that we have a lot to learn. There's a Q&A option, just a brief housekeeping. There's a Q&A option on the bottom of your Zoom link to drop questions during the session, but we will be having an interactive Q&A at the end of the session as well. So we'll be kind of going back to back on the speakers, but then your questions will be in the group, on the chat, and we can come back to them at the end of the session because we'll have a good amount to go through them. Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining. It seems like we're going to have a full house today. Without further ado, I would love to pass it over to my CEO, Jay Sauder, for a welcome and introductory remarks. And after that, I'm going to pass it over to Jenny, which is the chair of the Greenland Islands Foundation, who is a partner on this webinar, and we're super excited to be moving forward on addressing energy storage, long duration energy storage in island regions. Julia?
Thank you, Asa. Thank you all for joining this morning, this afternoon, and evening. It's great to have you all here and really appreciate the partnership and the collaboration and the opportunity to learn from each other today. Also, it's always great to be on webinars with good friends. I just want to thank Gianni and Greening the Foundation, Greening the Islands Foundation, and Andrea and IFC for all the work that you're doing to really elevate the leadership of so many islands, looking at how to work together with storage to decarbonize and to really move forward on addressing transition needs. The LDES Council is a global organization. We have members that fall into the entire value ecosystem. So we have developers, manufacturers, equipment manufacturers, utilities, and the four families of LDES represented to really showcase that we need 8 terawatts of LDES by 2040. And to do this, we work with partners around the world to really showcase how important it is to create markets, open up markets, expand markets so that LDES can provide benefits to customers and communities around the world. And we're really excited today to hear from our members who are working with islands and are really excited to kind of see, how to bring the benefits of LDES to their communities. And looking forward to hear more from Noon and EOS and Energy Intel on this. So the purpose today, we're really kind of learn about the unique energy security and decarbonization challenges that are faced by island nations and regions. And as we're all feeling with urgency rising, it's a great opportunity to bring together technology providers, stakeholders, financing partners to help accelerate the deployment of long duration storage, which we define as 8 hours or more. And what's great is that when you see it as the power to heat, you can have either heating or cooling for days, weeks, or months, or if you need to have electricity for days, weeks, and months, the diverse technologies of long duration storage can help provide this. And what's also really important is that so many countries are speaking about security, resiliency, and energy independence, and long duration storage provides that flexibility so that we can really promote, again, the great benefits and the leadership of so many island nations around the world. So today we're going to speak more on financing and bankability. We're really going to look at how can we work together to really promote the diverse components and the benefits of LDES. If we have 8 terawatts of LDES deployed globally, this brings $540 billion a year in savings. So there's so many great opportunities, again, to really encompass how we can look at the whole ecosystem to bring LDES into the mix so that we have all these benefits to really empower, recharge, and to really kind of support the resiliency of so many island nations. So we're really thrilled to have this partnership with Green Islands. Look forward to the continued work with IFC and the leadership from our members to really kind of share how we can continue to promote long duration storage. We have many events on our website. We have a lot of reports. We have case studies. So we look forward to digging deeper into the narrative of how to collaborate and really kind of again, bridge how critical storage, in particular, long duration storage, that, multi-day when the sun isn't shining, the wind isn't blowing, and the tides aren't, as strong as they need to be for the storage, we can provide that certainty. And I think that's what's so important is, again, that resiliency and reliability that in partnership, we look forward to working with all the leaders on the call to help deploy more LDES so we can have all the benefits from what the different technology solutions can provide. So again, thank you so much. Look forward to the questions, look forward to the presentations, and really, again, thrilled to be working with Green Islands and IFC to really promote, again, the importance of how stores can help on energy security. So I'll hand it back to Walsa and Gianni, but thanks again so much. Look forward to the discussions and look forward to the next steps.
Thank you very much, Julia. Indeed, I will spend also only a few minutes on this welcome because you did a great introduction. I will more focus on the presentation, but I'd like to stress that for us in Green the Islands is very relevant. Our cooperation as the energy as at the center of a transversal to all the other sectors of the island to decarbonize the full island, and storage in the clean energy is really at the core, no, for the independence, for our goal to 100% renewables. And the cooperation with Long Duration Storage Council is already in place from some years, but now we are stepping in a more operative phase of our cooperation. And indeed, we can anticipate that we are about to sign a new Renovate agreement anyway very soon in the coming weeks. So having said that, I'd like maybe to switch to a few slides of presentation. Let me allow to share my screen very quickly and go into the presentation. Just a moment. Okay, it's here. Okay, I hope you see my presentation and make it big. Yes, I would like to start always with this cartoon because the cartoon talks better than many words, pictures. This is exactly the core of our mission, let me say, make an island as laboratory for innovation to combating climate change, and to have the big power from America, Europe, China, India, to look at islands, to understand how it's possible to build an island which is 100% sustainable and within that 100% renewable. And so islands can lead the way. And of course, island can lead the way in terms of self-sufficient and sustainable communities around the world. And we understood that Julia spoke right before about energy security. We've been living what the problem that, for instance, happened very recently in Spain and Portugal of the blackout. Energy security is at the core of the next COP, and we want to bring indeed the island case study. And there are a lot of problems, and the Maltese example will be very important to explain what are the issues of islands later on. And islands are facing global challenges. Energy is at the core, and we discussed, many of you knows anyway that let's say the real cost of producing energy through diesel is 3 or 5 times more, and there is a high dependence on fossil fuel with a lot of geopolitical problems also for islands, while producing energy with the renewables is much cheaper. And but of course, without storage, we cannot anyway achieve this goal. The same is on water, on mobility, on waste. There are high costs depending on in using the actual technology, while mature technology can really reduce all these costs. In Green the Islands, as some of you know, but we have inside an observatory and with which is running advocacy activities, policy paper, knowledge with reports, and this workshop is part of the activity of disseminating knowledge and cooperation, of course, between islands. Aggregate project is very important. Create cooperation between industry and islands stakeholder, as we are doing today, is at the core of our activity to originate project, to develop project, to financing project, and our goal is to enable this to happen. Let's go in depth on the 100% renewables initiative, where LDES is a key partner. Our goal is really to showcase in many islands around the world how it's possible economically and technically to reach the 100% renewables. All the world need to go in that direction by 2050, but we need to demonstrate on islands that this might happen, can be done. We have already some islands that signed agreement with us: Curaçao, La Digue in the Seychelles, Rodrigues, Mauritius, Tonga in the Pacific, Chios in the Mediterranean. Many other islands are joining our program that consists in a methodology which is very straightforward, very simple. In a phase one, our goal is to create a sort of forecast demand of electricity demand in the coming 10, 15 years, building at the end 2 or 3 scenarios, or how what are the way to reach 100% renewables, which renewable energy mix is needed, which storage is needed to reach this goal. And something very important in the phase 2, we organize a workshop, as we've done in some islands already, in Curaçao and Rodrigues, where 30, 40 key stakeholders, including the community representatives, of course, in partnership with the utility, with the government, the Chamber of Commerce, etc. We run this workshop to discuss which one of the 2-3 scenarios are more feasible for that island to reach the 100%. And then we end up to build a stakeholder, a project teaser map you see in the picture below, where we identify which sites where and how much would cost, which technology, what payback time, IRR, etc. for investor are feasible for each project. And our goal is to design the financial model and match the project with the possible financial opportunities, public or private, blended as well. And so this is at the core of our methodology. We tackle technology, as I say, policy needed to enable these 100% renewables to happen quickly, with endorsement and cooperation of all the stakeholders of the island, and indeed finance. This approach is an holistic approach, which is an alternative to the random approach that often islands have in order to reach this goal. Of course, we bring our initiative in a global stage. We want to really sensibilize all the key global stakeholders. So we bring only in 2025, we started with General Assembly of IRENA. We did bring the challenge of 100% renewables with the Curaçao case study in the electrical storage exhibition of Munich, together with Intersolar, the Smarter. We did bring the Ocean Conference last week. We had really a workshop on the offshore renewables, SNAC in Shanghai, and the Climate Week in New York, COP30, and many other in the middle. Let's, Andrea, maybe you can jump in with the Curaçao case study. The floor is yours.
Okay, thanks, Gianni. Thanks, everyone, for joining this discussion, and good morning, good afternoon. So let's move to from concept to a concrete case study. I want to introduce you Curaçao, which is quite a medium island, not that small, on the south side of Caribbean, of 150,000 people, with an annual electricity of 1 terawatt-hour. Curaçao has a growing and diversifying economy, but like many islands, has been historically dependent on fossil fuels. As you can see in the next slide, one of the biggest part of Curaçao, which is famous from their refinery, which is one of the biggest refinery in Latin America, is not the usual Caribbean beauty, let me say. The refinery starts in 1920, if I recall correctly, and the area is quite big, is around 440 hectares, and has a peak production of 350,000 barrels per year, so quite big. But things change. In 2019, the refinery was closed, and now Curaçao is changing his economy. And as you can see from the next slide, we imagine Curacao like a green hub, and the area of the refinery a green hub, which tourism facilities, harbors, and renewable energies. Then Curacao has a remarkable journey indeed, as you can see in the next slide. In 2012 starts a journey to be a green island, let me say. They moving away from fossil fuels, and they introduced the wind parks and solar PV facilities, and they are still upgrading their facilities. Indeed, in 2024, 2025, they start to also have some batteries in order to regulate the flexibility of the grid and also to store some energy. They have a clear step-by-step plan, aiming at reaching the 70% of renewable penetration in 2027. But to get to 100%, they need to solve the final piece of the puzzle. And we are in Green the Islands comes in to solve the last piece of puzzle. As you can see, moving forward, this slide shows the future of electricity of Curacao. This is our 100% scenario for Curacao, and you can look at the dramatic growth of wind and solar PV, but the most important number of this chart is the green bar, which represents the storage. So, as you know, to balance a grid powered by intermittent sources like renewables, like PV and like wind, we need to grow the energy capacity, the energy storage capacity from 55 megawatt, which are planned to be installed by 2030, to more than 300 megawatt hours. This massive increase highlights the critical role of long-duration energy storage to make a 100% renewable grid a reality. We can also share to you also the impact of this transition. Moving forward, you can see a slide which highlights the impact of the transition for an island like Curacao, which has the aim to be 100% renewables. This scenario will generate over 300 million of investment, the creation of more than 2,000 jobs just for operation and maintenance, and we cut the emission of CO2 by nearly 500,000 tons. Let me say that this is a win for the economy, a win for the community, and a win for the planet, for islands as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Yes, I think Curacao is just an example, but we are working to build so many examples around the world, and I think now we can. Let me say, with our specialist Luigi Migliorini, which is from 25 years in the storage sector, so has seen all the evolution of storage along the years and technology, to give some background anyway. And we know very well that islands are different one from another, no, Luigi? And of course, let's say the approach need to be a bit tailored, even if, of course, our goal is to group island with the same characteristic. Luigi, the floor is yours. Yes.
Hi, everybody. This is Luigi Migliorini. Yes, I've been working many years in the batteries business, so thanks for the invitation. I try to share my presentation.
Yes, it's coming. And meanwhile, you can
yes,
set in the scene. Yes, it's here. You can put in from slide 1 in a full mode.
Yes, I'm trying to put in. Okay.
From down. From left down, you can put in a full.
Yeah, I don't know. Wait. It's getting slow.
Yes.
My presentation.
We can see the presentation, Luigi.
You can see that?
Yes, we can see the presentation. You just need to put in a full mode
Okay.
from the bottom right, and you can start.
Yes. How should go? So yes, I worked many years in battery business. So today I just want to share a little bit, a few, let's say, understanding of few ideas on how to try to select the best batteries technology for this kind of application, for island application. Still a problem.
You know, you need to come back over a couple of slides. Maybe you went too fast. Yes, it's a bit, yeah. But you feel free to.
Yeah, sorry. It's over. Okay, maybe you see now the island batteries and perspectives. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is just to show a little bit what we should do, what we are doing. So in when we select batteries in this kind of application, and we install, but I installed personally several systems in the past, so in the last 25 years. Of course, now what is important to understand is what the island want to achieve. So either is energy independence for safety reasons, or a balance improvement of the mini grid, or they just want to reduce the noise of the diesel generator, or they want to reduce the pollution in the island, or they just want to save money. So this is very important to understand when the process starting, which are the targets of the people in the island. And starting from this, then you can try to select what is the best technology, what is the best achievement I can get through this kind of technologies. Again, if the target is only money saving and everything's fine, okay, whatever. So we don't care. We only say you go ahead, you buy what you want. But if the target is to have a good system that is lasting during the years, that is not polluted, is not dangerous, then we need to be very careful when we select a kind of technology. So at the end, Green Dahlia will share this presentation. If anybody want to do a kind of exercise to understand, first of all, what are the needs of an island. Second, there are many technologies in batteries, and I personally, I think, produce at least three of these ones. And I remember that 25 years ago, we installed the first energy storage system in island in Malaysia. It was a project called the 1000 Island. And we use VLA batteries, so the old lead acid batteries technology. So we use gel batteries at the time, OPZV, and they were the very first systems where in schools and small villages, of course, all island, we were able to install the system for the people, for the students to study also after the sun was gone. So of course, it was connected to a PV, and we selected this lead acid battery. But that time we are talking about 2000, 2005, maybe. So that time there was not availability of other technology. So that was the main technology, the only technology that was working properly for cycling. And then slowly all the new batteries, all the new technologies, or all technologies with new processes came out. And for example, redox flow batteries, this is another technology. There are several types: vanadium, air, zinc air, iron, zinc iron. So there are many technologies. Unfortunately, you have a good and bad from each technology. Also for flow batteries, they are very well probably suited for long duration, but if you use vanadium, it's not a very friendly material, for example. So you always have to consider where are you going to install these kind of batteries. Sodium nickel is another technology that is working since is the old Zebra. Is working in the last 20 years very well in many different sites. They have installed and this technology in several Greek islands, for example, or in platforms, oil platforms that are considered sometimes like island. Of course, also for this technology, you have a bad and good. So it's a very safe technology, but it's expensive. It's lasting 20 years, maybe, yes. And they have a long history, long tradition, but it's expensive. And they don't run at a very short backup, like 1 hour, 2 hours. They're just starting working after 4 hours. Lithium-ion batteries are the most, in this moment, most used batteries in the world. I think 95% of the lithium batteries are anyway coming from China. So it is also a political, sometimes political decision whether to use lithium-ion batteries or not. Of course, in this moment, they are the cheapest batteries you can have, but also they're using lithium. Lithium is not really easy to recycle. So there are also in this case positive and negative points, but for long duration energy, they are not really the best. They are the best for the half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours, and of course, electrical vehicles. Sodium ion is a new technology that is starting also mainly in China and a little bit more friendly, they say, than lithium batteries, but still under development. So we will see what happens in the next 2, 3 years. Personally, we are involved also on hydrogen solutions. So for long duration energy storage, when you are talking about 2, 3, 4 days, it's really impossible to think to install so many batteries lasting for 3 days or lasting for 1 week. So the possible solution probably is to use hydrogen, so electrolyzer, producing hydrogen, storing hydrogen, and to use a fuel cell to reproduce electricity. So hydrogen is a good solution. Personally, after many years, 25 years of working this kind of installation, we believe that the best solution probably is always to use more than one technology and to select the technology suited for that kind of application. So an hybrid system is always better than one system. This is what we always say. Final slide, very short. What are the main factors to select the best, let's say, the best battery you want? Of course, depend on the power you need. You are talking about kilowatt or megawatt power. So this is very important to understand which kind of energy you need. So how many hours, so kilowatt hours or megawatt hours. This is also affecting which kind of technology you can select. Again, if you want to have 72 hours, you cannot use lithium batteries. If you want to have a half an hour discharge, of course, lithium battery is fine. So this is one of the key point. The local temperature. So which kind of temperature you have in the site and whether you want to use or not air conditioning, for example, so AC. So this is a very strategic decision. So sometimes lithium batteries, for example, they have a very high efficiency, but they need to be kept at 25, 35 degrees. So you need to use a lot of power for keep cool the battery. So you're using probably 10, 15% of the energy for keeping the batteries under normal condition. What is the availability in terms of space is also very important. So, for example, redox batteries, flow batteries, they need a lot of space. And their cycling maybe is good, but they need a lot of space. So you need to understand which kind of space you have available in that area, which kind of cycle you're expecting, not only in terms of numbers, but in terms of depth of discharge. So it will be very short, very shallow cycles, or will be very deep the cycles. This is important to understand. So when you see this, when you understand this, you can select the best technology. Which service life you're expecting from the batteries. Now everybody's writing in the documents 20 years, 25 years, no problem, whatever. And of course, then you buy a Tesla, and after 3 years, you need to change the battery. So life, of course, is a marketing tool. The real nobody has never achieved more than 10 years or 15 years historically. So lithium batteries just started less than 10 years ago in terms of industrial applications. So this is important to understand from specialists, from the people, or what is the real service life, not the expected design life. Because expected design life, you can only say 25 years. That is fine. Then the warranty is only 2 years. And finally, what is the local maintenance availability? For example, if you install an hydrogen solution, you need to have locally at least one engineer that is taking care of the system basically every day. You cannot have an hydrogen system solution with the electrolyzer, fuel cell, and nobody there. This is the dream of the people that never work. They never work with the hydrogen. So this is another key point. If you want to use complicated long duration system, you need to have people in the area taking care of the system. Basically, I'm not saying daily, but at least once per week to have a review and maintenance. So this is just a very quick overview of the various technology for batteries. There are many technology. Every site and every application could have its own, let's say, tailored system. Thank you very much. Any question you can ask to Green Island. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Luigi. And indeed, then later on we'll listen the industry anyway, technology providers, their experience and update, etc. And now, after this overview, very direct, very sincere from Luigi, we have a case study of Malta. Malta, I'd like to say that we'll host our 10th edition, our international conference in Gozo on October from the 28th to the 31st, and also the Global Summit of the committee leaders this year. So we are happy to have a case study right from Malta. Joseph Vassallo, head of technical head of Interconnect Malta, so-called ICM. Joseph, the floor is yours. You can share your screen and please go ahead.
Right.
If you can put his full mode, full screen mode, yes, is there.
Okay, is that fine? Perfect. Okay. Right. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. Right. So I am from a company called Interconnect Malta, which is it's a government company with specific objectives for interconnections and other projects associated with energy storage and renewables. Right. So Malta's population is about 550,000 with a peak load of 663 megawatts achieved in 2023. When there was a significant heat wave in summer, so the factor which drives energy demand and load growth here is, I mean, apart from of course quality of life and population increase, is also and industry and other and the load from hotels and the industry, and basically, but it's also heat related. Temperatures are going up, and the amount of energy being used for cooling is always on the increase. So there is one power station in Malta generating approximately 600 megawatts using LNG and gas oil, and there is at the moment one interconnector to Sicily, which is a 200 megawatt 50 hertz synchronous connection to Sicily. And a second one is now in the implementation stage. So the one in the figure, the blue one is the current interconnector 1. The second one is the one in red, which is interconnector 2, which is due for completion in late 2026, early 2027. So that is another 200. It's actually a bit larger, 225 megawatt synchronous connection. The amount of renewable energy sources is 250 megawatt, most of which, or absolute, almost everything is PV, as one can imagine, being Malta. So the company Interconnect Malta is handling the interconnector project and also a battery energy storage project with a total of 40 megawatts in two localities, which is due for completion between 2026 and early 2027 also. Of course, I'll be explaining that as a case study. And another project which the company is planning at the moment is in the early stages of implementation, in the sense of with a of the procurement phase with a pre-qualification questionnaire, which is due to close in the coming month. And so the plan is to have a 300 megawatt floating offshore wind installation to the northeast of Malta. A gas pipeline is also something which has been studied and for which permits and various studies have been obtained. And in Malta, then there's a waste to energy plant which is due to come into service in the coming years as well. So there is plenty of work being done in the energy sector in the island. So the main objectives of having the battery energy storage basically is first of all to be able to utilize as much as possible RES. So to avoid the possibilities of curtailment, first of all, and to be able to store in periods of predictable generation of RES, and to use it in times when of course it's not available in the evening, and thereby be able to use RES energy, renewable energy, rather than having to start fossil fuel plant. One aspect of fossil fuel plant in Malta is to use diesel engines, for example, and to be able to avoid that and this carbon dioxide generation. So we are planning to start introducing large scale battery energy storage. The aim of Malta is to have 25% of RES by 2030. So this the battery energy will serve to the country to achieve the target and to be able to reduce carbon dioxide in the longer term as well. Also, we're looking at the battery energy storage also to enhance the security of supply and stability of the Malta system, because although Malta is no longer an island in the electrical sense because it's interconnected, but there are times when Malta is alone, first of all, so isolated. So in that case, as an island with a relatively large penetration of photovoltaic, which is, we are aware that it's fairly intermittent, and so in this case, the battery energy storage would dovetail nicely to be able to limit the effect of its intermittency. But also, even although the island is interconnected, then there's also the question of being able to limit the balance and exchange with Italy. So not to exceed the planned exchange of energy with Italy, then the battery energy is also useful in that respect. The project, which started really in 2023 with planning and various studies with consultants, includes both the procurement of the batteries and their installation, and also the civil works. So that's the project works. The technology chosen for this project, for these two projects, is lithium iron phosphate, which were chosen specifically for lifetime, for the longer cycle lifetime, and then what's also important, the lower risk of overheating and fire. The reason of which will become apparent also in the coming slides. But also, lithium iron phosphate at the time was an emerging technology, and today it's become a leading technology worldwide. There are two locations for the project. One is at a former underground power station in Marsa. There the project will be an 8 megawatt 20 megawatt hour installation, but it will be underground. So there, the study is concentrated a lot on the fire aspects and the fire safety aspects. So that is one major issue. In fact, this is where it will be installed. It used to be a power station, and it will be installed in one of the former boiler or turbine halls. So we're going from fossil fuel in a direct way from fossil fuel to a much cleaner source of energy. The second one will be a 32 megawatt 64 megawatt hour installation, which will be at Delamar Power Station on a much larger area, and actually is going to be part a fossil fuel power station. It will be in the open area shown there, which is adjacent to a quay, so there is very easy sea vessel access. So the budget allocations started at 12 million for the Marsa project, and around 35 million for the Lamara project, both of which were EU co-funded. And those were based on estimates at the beginning of the project carried out by our consultants. As things emerged, the cost of the projects will be between 25 and 30 million, approximately in that region, for the two projects together. So the costs, in reality, the costs have gone down in the past year. So we have some, very good pricing for the projects. The projects, as I said, they'll be used for to assist res generation by facilitating their integration and their use. It will be used when Malta is not connected to Italy for various reasons, for frequency regulation, and voltage regulation also, and one plant will be equipped with black start capability. After all, Malta is an island, so if we lose an interconnector, there is a chance that a black start would be needed. So in this case, we decided to have a black start capability on one of the units. The plan is to be able to cycle the batteries once a day for the entire lifetime of the project. We are aware of the battery degradation along the years, but we're also aiming at a 10-year lifetime, as Mr. Migliorini said before in the previous presentation. Again, this is just a summary of the various modes that the BESS will work, and these are the fundamental specifications which we specified for the plant, and which have been satisfied in the various offers we received. So the process of the procurement, as I said, started in 2023 with various studies. Then in last year, in 2024, we issued an open tender for the design and implementation of the two battery energy storage systems, and the response from various bidders was very good. We received 16 offers, and the evaluation is now at the very end, where an award has been made, and we're in the very final stages, the appeals period. But anyway, we're getting close to coming to the selection of a bidder, and then the eventual implementation. The implementation of the 8 megawatt plant is expected to be about 12 months, and the larger one will be 18 months. So in early 2027, we will have two BESS battery energy storage units in the island of Malta. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vassallo, Joseph Vassallo, Technical Head, Interconnect Malta. I think was a great case study of an island state as Malta that is really, anyway, taking action in that direction. Great opportunity for Giulia, for your industry as well, to of course make proposal, etc. And yes, very good. So having said that, in handing over to Ogosa, I'd like to recommend all of you, this is a workshop, it's not a webinar. The people here have been invited anyway, has been done by invitation, and so there will be room for questions. So be ready to write maybe on the chat questions, or be ready to raise question at the end. Ogosa, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for that reminder, Jimmy. And yeah, thank you so much for the first half of the session. I'm just going to quickly pass it over to our technology members now. Unfortunately, we had one of the technology members drop out last minute, so we still have two fantastic technology members, which we're going to hear from. I'll start by Energy Intel. I believe that there's going to be two speakers for Energy Intel, so I will let them kindly share your screen and introduce the technology and the use case for island and isolated regions. Thank you. Eugene or Marcus? There you go.
Yes,
Awesome.
yes.
Hi.
Good afternoon, everyone, from sunny island of Cyprus. We're gonna present me and Marius Costandino, our international sales manager with engineering background. We are gonna present our technology and potentials of solution. Just let me introduce our company. As I have already told you, we are a Cyprus-based technology, and unfortunately, taking into consideration all this instability around us, it's much more urgent to be energy independent, and I really believe that this could be happen in all the world around. Nearly 20 years of experience in solar and thermal energy integration. As an island nation, we face unique challenges, such as high dependency on imported fuels, grid constraints, and limited interconnectivity. Marius will present in more details later. And this has, as a result, our innovation not to be just valuable, but essential. As Energy Intel, our mission is to empower energy independence and accelerate decarbonization through cutting-edge, long-duration energy storage solutions. With a team of over 50 engineers, technicians, and experts, we have pioneered award-winning innovations, such as our thermal storage system, which is now protected by over 80 patents. Actually, we have 94 patents. Our technology has been successfully deployed in strategic locations across the Middle East, Africa, and very soon in Europe. And we are proud to be collaborating with global leaders like Total Energies and Cyprus Telecommunications, which is one of the biggest companies in Cyprus and very wealthy. And we are now expanding into the biggest PV park with storage facilities as well in Cyprus. And the real impact is that we want to be from large-scale solar installation to state-of-the-art digital energy hubs. At Energy Intel, we believe that a cleaner, smarter, and more resilient energy future is not just possible, it's already taking shape. And we really believe that we are one of the more dynamic leaders and players at this point in Cyprus. I will pass on the stage to Marius Konstantinos, who has prepared really nice presentation slides with more technical information on how our grid is working and how our technology can accelerate and boost the energy independence. Marius?
Thank you, Eugenia, and hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. First, allow me to give you a brief intro into the Cypriot electricity market, what it is in numbers up to 2024. And as you can easily see here from a pie chart, the more than 5.5 actually terawatt hours of total demand covered in 2024 in Cyprus, more than three-fourths of that is covered by conventional power generation. So that's fossil fuels. And as you can see, the rest of the 25% is only covered by renewables. And that's mostly solar, which of course is the easiest and cheapest for us down here. So the electricity prices in the last year as well were around 30 euro cents of every kilowatt hour, which is significantly higher than what we see in the rest of the European countries that are most of them interconnected. And that's something that we have to face as an island, because we are also paying for the last year more than 300 million euros in greenhouse gas emission allowances, because we're using all of that fossil fuel generation that we need to cover our demands. And something that hides behind this number of high fossil fuel generation is the non-existence of energy storage so far in Cyprus, because there hasn't been an implementation yet of energy storage in any way in Cyprus. So in a really easy way, you can see here a graph which shows the PV curtailment, the solar curtailment of the more than 800 megawatt capacity in Cyprus. And you can see that in the intermediate seasons, which is fall and spring, we have a curtailment that reaches almost 40% in a few months. And that takes into account the whole month. So that's not just days where the energy is curtailed. And that's happening because of the high energy solar yield during these months, because there's more than 330 sunny days, clear sun days in Cyprus. But during this period, we don't have major needs of cooling or heating in general around the island. So most of this energy is going to waste, because the time that we produce it, we cannot actually use it. And that takes us to today and the initiatives that the island as a state is taking towards, let's say, the greener side. And that is unlocking the competitive electricity market, because so far it's been a monopoly managed by the state. So that's going to happen, that's expected to happen in the late 2025. The first energy storage scheme was launched also this year, beginning of this year, which aims at covering 350 megawatt hours of electrical energy storage, corresponding to the allocated 35 million euros. And we also have the 2030 commitments that we have made as a country, and that's 33% of renewable energy penetration. But that needs to be around the year and not just as a whole, as a total in the end of the year. And this is partially covered by a 10-year plan that is implemented by the state starting in 2023 and going up to 2032, including grid optimizations, grid upgradings, and the implementation of energy storage. And with that, allow me to introduce our technology, which, as Eugenia mentioned a bit earlier, we're, let's say, forced to look for this kind of technologies in Cyprus. And that's where our aspiration comes and our motivation. So we have developed a thermal energy storage technology, which is a long duration technology, of course, that can be charged by electricity, and that means by renewables, in the time that we have the abundance of this solar production, for instance. And then we store this energy as thermal. So we store it in a PCM material in an insulated tank. And then we are able to discharge this stored power when we need it. So either that be night, either that be the next day. And we can do this in two different ways: by providing both electricity and power in CHP operation using a patented Stirling engine, and that gives us both electricity and low temperature heat, or we can supply the heat only directly from our heat storage with industrial applications between 100 and 500 degrees Celsius. With that, let me take you to our success story so far, which is a couple of pilot and demo projects run already in the United Arab Emirates, and that's the first one with in Master City in collaboration with KAUST University, and as well as in Nur Energy One solar thermal project, which is actually the largest solar thermal project in the world. We have actually implemented our technology in South Africa as well, in an agricultural application to our first commercial customer, where we provide both the electricity and the low temperature heat that is needed to cover the demands. And soon coming on, we have our first project in Cyprus that will implement our technology in large scale, and that's in collaboration with Total Energies. And that's going to be the largest solar plus storage project in Cyprus of 150 megawatt PV plus 300 megawatt hours of storage, where we are looking to include more than 300 of our units to work in the CHP operation. And that takes me to our next initiative in our country, which is the Cypriot Telecommunication Company. It's the largest telecommunication provider in Cyprus, and they will be developing in the next 5 years the largest data center in Cyprus, which is intended to be 100% green. And that's where we come in, where we will provide both the production in terms of solar and the energy. And that means the total energy that is needed for the data center to work, and that is IT load and cooling load. So to sum it up, in the island nations, I'm pretty sure most of the participants here know that we face challenges to be energy independent, but we see the opportunities there. That's where Energy Intel thrives. And we see that by accelerating this transformation, we can reduce our emissions, we can be more green as an island, and of course, reduce the energy cost in total for a country like Cyprus, for an island. So that was from our side. Thank you so much. And passing back to Ogosa.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and I really like the massive wins, and we're really proud of you as a member of the Elders Council. Just moving swiftly now to Noon Energy. Nico Eric joining us, so you can go ahead. Yeah, perfect. Everyone's on cue today. Awesome. Thank you. Over to you, Eric.
I appreciate it. And thanks for inviting me. This topic is near and dear to my heart. I'm from Hawaii originally, living in California now. But this exact topic is why just the challenges islands face is exactly why I've been in renewables for the last 15 years. So really interesting topic. I'm excited to share kind of what Noon is doing. So Noon's a little earlier stage company. We are solving for this 24/7, 365 need or desire for renewable energy. And what we found is you need significant storage and you need to do it at a low cost. And that's where Noon comes in. So that's okay. So as many of you know on this call, this is what it looks like when you utilize renewable generation, and then you have your lithium or the 10-hour storage, kind of fills in the gaps a little bit, but you really need ultra long 100+ hours to firm up and provide firm renewable power. So this is kind of the group of, I guess, our competitors in this space are looking to provide carbon-free on-demand power. Nuclear has its timing issues, safety issues, and cost issues specifically. Hydro and geothermal are great, but they also are very geography dependent. And finally, we have fossil CCS, which also faces its own challenges. So as we look forward, renewables plus new battery seem to be one of the better options going forward from a cost, from a time to power, and even geography constraints. So at a high level, what we are is a reversible solid oxide fuel cell. We have a power block, which is a fuel cell, and then we have a charge and a discharge tank. Our storage media are industrial gases. Think water to hydrogen, CO2 to carbon. Very abundant, very low cost storage media. And that allows us to kind of meet that demand or that need for being able to scale your energy capacity at a very low cost. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. One of the key features here is we are able to independently size our power and our energy capacity to kind of meet these needs. This is more of a rendering of what things are looking like. You should see some images in a bit on the actual system, but this is, kind of that clear look. And this is us versus lithium as we're trying to, we do think, lithium plays an important role in the shorter duration, less than 10 hours. But, Noon will be doing the bulk of the work on site. So we have the power, and then you can see this nearly flat line of us adding our energy capacity at less than $2 a kilowatt hour. So in total, our projects are going to be deploying in the $10 to $20 a kilowatt hour range, making this quite affordable, providing really low LCOEs. The other important aspect is density. And again, utilizing carbon as a storage media is extremely energy dense and provides us some pretty big advantages when it comes to other type of technologies out there for long duration. This is kind of our summary slide. We're looking at over 100 hours of energy capacity. Typical projects are going to be in the 100 to 400 hours of capacity, depending on the energy resources. And then, like I said, very low cost. These pretty high confidence in being able to hit 20 to or less dollars a kilowatt hour in capex. Again, very energy dense, very important on islands which aren't flush with land. And then also very secure and independent supply chain. We're not exposed to foreign entities of concern or nations that basically we're not exposed to the China supply chain, which is very important here in the U.S., but also growing concerns globally. Kind of timeline. We've been in business since 2018. So for the last 7 years, been in stealth. I joined the company to lead commercialization about 3 months ago. And we are putting first steel on the ground in the next couple months. That's going to be a pilot system. And then we'll be doing a pilot manufacturing line, doing single digit megawatts in the next couple years, and then in 28 doing tens of megawatts, and growing into the 2029 2030 will be in the hundreds of megawatts into the gigawatt scale deployment. So which is nice because it lines up with a lot of the plans of a lot of the islands or just growth of the LDES market in general. So this is a system we built sitting here in our lab in Mountain View, California. And then this is a picture of that demo that will be going in the ground. So I just want to be clear, like we are building stuff. It's not just renderings. And so this is going to be a 50 to 100 kW system with 10 megawatt hours. So most importantly, now that you have a background on us, we have a pretty strong analytics team, and we looked at the island of Kauai. One, the data was most accessible, but and two is just they actually have a 100% renewable mandate. They've done a lot already to decarbonize the island, but they're not at 100% yet. So we took a look at their generation source, their retail electricity rate, their wholesale rate, and analyze what would it take to get to 100% renewables faster. Right now, I think their goal is 2033. But we took a look at 2027 and 2029 delivery dates and what it would take to get to 100% renewables. We had their target price of about 20 cents a kilowatt hour. And we looked at two different approaches. One is 100% solar, and one was with the optimal VRE mix, so solar and wind. With that being said, Kauai has not deployed any wind yet, so they're pretty solar heavy. But anyway, we did look at both options, looked at a 30-year project life, and then their average load is 44 megawatts. So from there, what we found was with an optimal mix in 2027, we could cut their electricity cost, the wholesale rate, nearly in half. And if a little further out into 2029, as our cost curve comes down, we could get down to 9 cents and save 55% off their existing wholesale rate. So this would provide the benefit of obviously lower cost, more stable costs, and the energy security that was mentioned earlier in this call. So, and you can see here below, with that optimal mix, it's a little wind heavy, but they do have solar. And then you can see the noon power capacity meets their load and the total duration of this cost. But even with that duration, our LCOE is still very attractive and able to drive the cost down. This is a quick chart of what it looks like, so people understand why we need 100 hours or 500 hours. Even in Hawaii, even though it's sunny year round, there still is some seasonality and it's more pronounced than people would imagine. But so this is a 2-year chart showing that, and most of the time it is at 100% SOC, but we are doing daily cycling with our battery. It does operate on a daily basis, meets the daily demand, but is also sitting there with excess capacity for these big lulls in generation. And that's where, during the winter, as the days are a little bit shorter, the island would absorb, or we would be discharging more than we'd be charging at that point. And then as the days get a little bit longer, we'd start to charge up and sit there for potential grid events or whatever there may be. So you can see some lulls here in the April-May timeframe. But yeah, so this is some of the analytics we do for our customers. And this kind of gives you a sight or an idea of what it would look like, how the battery would be operated. As you see, we never go below 10%. And one of the nice features of our system is, as climate changes, as the weather's changing, we can always add more capacity by just shipping tanks out, which again, very low cost to add extra energy capacity. Fine, this is just kind of modeling assumptions. So that's it for me.
Thank you. No, you won't even right to underestimate how much modeling assumptions might be in these situations. Thank you so much for your time. And so thanks to New Energy and Energy Intel. That's us done for the LDES Council Technology members. However, we will be talking briefly on financing, that ties this conversations all together. And joining us from the International Financial Corporation is Daniel Leung. Daniel, I'm not sure if you've got slides. Thank you so much for stepping in last minute. If you've got slides, you can share them. Otherwise, would love to get your feedback from the conversation so far and your insights on what the IFC is doing and energy storage in particular and the island nations.
Yeah, thank you very much, Agosa. And thank you everyone for inviting us. As Agosa mentioned, I'm stepping in for Peter Mockel, who's the Principal Industry Specialist for Energy Storage at the IFC. It's great to see some familiar faces as well. So IFC is the private sector arm of the World Bank. My unit specifically focuses on researching new technologies and building tools so that our internal clients, the investment officers, can better do business development. So LDES is a key focus sector for us right now. And just to give you a little bit of background of how we've been engaging in the space is over the past 2 to 3 years, we've been meeting with several technology providers as well as IFC clients who are interested in these new technologies. IFC generally does not invest in new technologies. We tend to be quite conservative in terms of taking on technology risk, but my unit is an outlier in the sense that we try to convince the organization that in order to impact climate positively, we need to take a little bit more, I guess, we need to be a little bit more, less risk averse. So over the past 2 to 3 years, we've been conducting research into zinc halide, zinc bromine, vanadium, VRFBs, iron RFBs, case, gravity, flywheel, lathes, and thermal storage. Speaking to about 60 different technology providers as well to get a sense of their technology, how close they are to commercial scale production, and if at all, which of their products have been debt funded in developed countries in the hope that we can actually take these technologies that have been debt funded in developed countries to our emerging market clients. So we analyze technologies on many different um, aspects, and because IFC has many different teams. For instance, we have the energy team, which is primarily project finance focused. They're more interested in what's debt fundable, what has achieved a certain, I guess, scale of production that uh, improvements in cost to manufacture are just incremental. We also have another team that focuses on manufacturing clients. So their criteria is more along the lines of which technology is exposed to rare earth metals, how old is the oldest company in a certain technology group, what's the production capacity of the largest firm, what are the largest projects that that firm um, has provided equipment to, and who the investors are. Now, lesser known as well, IFC has a venture capital arm. And as most venture capitalists are, they're more focused on momentum. So, how much funding has a category raised? Is the technology in this category on a category of its own? Are there paying customers? Um, is there a credible emerging markets pipeline, and then of course the team and the funding opportunity comes into play there as well. So with many different internal clients of my team, we basically analyze different aspects of different technology providers. Now everything is supposed to aid in biz dev. So for our internal client, the VC team, for instance, our research led to uh, an investment into a thermal technology provider early this year. And so that was the very first investment that IFC made into the LDES space. And as I mentioned, this is a key sector for us, not just thermal, but also all the LDES as a broad category. And so what we want to do now is to take the success on the venture capital side, meaning an investment on the venture capital side, and sort of replicate it, not totally replicate it, but generate investments as well on the manufacturing side and the project finance side of IFC. So as I mentioned, tools and technology are the major components of what my team does. But what we also do is we raise, I guess you would call it blended concessional finance or grants for technical assistance. So we have two facilities open right now. And one of our main reasons for speaking here is to also look for potential clients where we can that can utilize these facilities. So the first one is is support for a feasibility study. So we have approximately 100K available to fund feasibility studies for island microgrids or mini grids. And so this is allocated for two different projects. So 50K per project for a feasibility study. So that's the first one. Now, the second one is concessional finance. So we have about a 5 million or so. I mean, one caveat here is it depends on what the investment teams actually decide. But we have about 5 million or so that can be used as a CapEx grant for an LDES project in an island. And it could be a standalone ESS, but our preference is for firm renewables. So ideally, it's coupled with wind or a solar plant, or it's all in one. But yeah, we're trying to fund first of a kind type of projects in emerging markets. And yeah, LDES fits the bill. Yeah, so that's it from my end. Happy to take questions. Thank you so much again for having us.
Thank you so much, Daniel. You got me a first of the kind project. So I think that's that is the end of our presentations and discussions. And now we've got 15 minutes for Q&As. I see we've got some eager beavers on the chat and some questions have been answered already. But if the speakers and question askers don't mind, I will just read through the ones that have been answered. And if anyone has got additional questions, we can go through them as well. It's an open dialogue, so please raise your hand. And yeah, you can jump in if you've got a question. I just want to confirm, I think the audience has got a chance to speak as well, right? Am I wrong? I'm not sure. I can't really see everyone else.
Yes, so Rosa, we can, if somebody asks to talk, we can allow anyway to upgrade and speak anyway.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
just need the participant to let us know anyway, also in the chat or raising the hands, for instance, rather.
Okay. Well, yeah. So you can signify by raising a hand up and we'll bring you up on stage. Oh no, the question I was just about to read just got answered, which is so unfair. But basically this question is really looking into coupling. I think this is more for Luigi maybe, or Joseph actually on thermal storage. I know that if people are familiar with the LDES Council, so we have a interesting technology split where we cover the parts of our technologies and also parts of heat to cover for the range and diversity in technologies that the LDES Council caters for and the entire LDES ecosystem actually recognizes. Not technical myself, so but I don't know if I can do justice to this question, but I think Joseph has raised that coupling thermal storage was not considered in this case. Dimitri, if you have a more extended question that you'd like to raise to the group, you could please go ahead. Then I think there was a question regarding Malta, and it was on the 663 megawatts peak load application, either to Malta or the Gozo Island included. So I think Malta has got like some other islands, kind of isolated regions as well. So, and the answer to that was really that it was the peak demand for both islands. And I just found out today that there was a connection to Italy through Sicily. So that was really interesting to find out. So thank you, Joseph, for that. And I think I've just gotten the question. A question to confirm, what is the rationale behind the dominance in planned wind capacity over planned PV capacity? So I think Giovanni or Andrea, I think that's probably a question to you that just came in.
Yes, Andrea, you can compliment me anyway, but yes, is one point that was raised. Of course, the island is planning to have offshore winds. One of the point was raised is the fact that there is, of course, is an all island limited space in an island for large PV, but indeed we've been discussing, of course, the study and the discussion with utilities ongoing because we've been discussing a lot about also agri PV and the way to optimize also PV greenhouse to optimize the land. Is the country is importing a huge quantity of food. And so the agri-PV, anyway, combined with desalination is a very good solution. Also, we have been analyzing a lot the floating PV. There are a lot of basins in Curaçao, and also let me say that even if some areas are quite protected or some areas are designated to more the fish industry, but is under discussion. Plus, in the country, there was a policy for solar PV on the roof for commercial and residential. There was not a big response anyway. That's why the let's say the expectation estimation has been on a total potential of a rooftop to arrive to anyway the 15% of the potential. Indeed, these percentages might increase dramatically with a proper appropriate policy and the proper sensibilization of people and citizens. So the scenario I've seen is the scenario that we have been ongoing. Is life is we are indeed working on it. So anyway, indeed, solar might increase anyway due to anyway appropriate policies, sensibilization, and also acceptance of PV in the field, especially if we consider the agri PV and PV greenhouse anyway. So I don't know if I replied to this answer.
Yes.
I don't know if I forgot.
Yes, just to complement, agri PV could be a great opportunity for Curaçao, since Curaçao is importing more than 90% of goods from the mainland. So they are not producing any vegetables, basically, and fruit. So agri PV could be a good opportunity for Curaçao as well. Of course, inner water basin, as well as said by Gianni. We are in discussion with utility and also with other stakeholders to preserve the natural habitats, which is quite important on the inner water basin, which Curaçao is pledged.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, GTI. So we just have a question on hydrogen that I skipped initially, and it's given the challenges of synchronization and transportation of hydrogen as well as land use needs. What makes hydrogen a good solution for island markets? I think, Jeannie, you mentioned you had an example on hydrogen initially, so maybe I'll pass that on to you.
Yes. Yeah, the hydrogen in terms of transportation and storage is a problem because it's very light and the molecule is very small, so you need a lot of space, a lot of volume. So the solutions are basically to use a compressor and to go to 300 bar or 500 bar, 700 bar, or to use the so-called metal hydrate solution. So is are molecules that are absorbing hydrogen as a sponge. So hydrogen is suitable for island. This is the question. Yes, it's suitable because it's the only way, or probably is one of the very few way to accumulate a lot of energy in a very small area for, let's say, 1 week or 2 weeks. On the other side, it's expensive. So if you want to have a storage with a compressor, you need to buy a compressor that is quite expensive to operate, and the maintenance. So in terms of from technical point of view, in our view, is the best solution for the long duration. In terms of pricing, no, not yet. So probably a hybrid solution is also a good idea to cover like 10 hours up to 20 hours with the electrochemistry, lithium or other electrochemical couple, more than 24 hours hydrogen.
Yeah, great. And I think that's the concepts behind kind of long duration energy storage as well. Thanks. We just have another hydrogen related question, so please stay on the line. It's the first is complementing the liquid hydrogen works tested now in Calistoga, which I think is in California. And then also question from Sunny is, I heard a lot about funding for research, but does the IFC have loads of tools for procurement and existing tech? So I'll come back to IFC, but just briefly an update on that liquid hydrogen already exists in the island regions in North USA. And then I'm just going to move, thanks so much, Luigi, for your responses. Just going to move back to another question on carousel, actually. So actually, I think we answered this already, sorry. I'm going to move to one question on BES. So it's from Harold, and it says, understood the islands presented seem to focus on BES technology for elders. If 100% decarbonization is the overall target, what is the strategy for mobility? So I assume it's how do we get big technologies from Energy Intel, from Noon? How do we get them to the islands? Eugenia, maybe I could pass this over to you. It's really talking about mobility on these technologies getting to the islands.
Yes, thank you very much. I think Marius Costantino maybe could provide a more comprehensive answer regarding this technical question, if that's okay with you.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you, Marius.
I mean, I can give you the big picture of what's happening in Cyprus, which, as you probably understood during the presentation, is we're a bit behind and a bit slow, but we're trying to get there. So for now, the strategy for mobility, so at least it has to do with the cars, that's full electrification. And that's of course coming from the sense that, okay, everything is going to go electrified. We have a lot of sun. Okay, we're going to use a lot of BESS solutions. We're going to use a lot of long duration energy storage solutions to make it to that point. But that's the direction so far, at least for Cyprus. But it's still vague, I would say. It's still early.
Thanks for that. Harold, I hope that addressed the question that you had. And then we're just going to move back to financing. And this question is speaking about the funding for research. Daniel, this is for you. But does IFC have funding tools for procurement for existing storage tech, hydrogen, or I guess energy storage hybrid systems? I think the two options you mentioned were very valid, and maybe you could just reinstate those again.
Yeah. Sorry, do you mean do we have tools for procurement? Or
Yeah, funding tools. So I think you mentioned the two buckets of financing that you had existing right now. And I think the question is now for how on procurement. So how does existing tech actually get those procurements? I'm not sure. Sunny, if you're on the call and you'd like to directly access yourself or clarify, you're welcome to. If not, I think that's what the question's asking.
Yes. Daniel, if you're okay to answer, or you want to answer in a later stage anyway, and as you prefer.
Yeah, maybe I can try to answer. Hopefully, my understanding of the question is the same as what was intended. So IFC, on the tools for procurement, and I guess standard PPAs, we have that, but more for the lithium ion end. Not yet for LDES. But if I guess it's related to what I mentioned a while ago, we do have a if an island mini grid in an emerging market needs a grant for a feasibility study or to buy down capex, we do have facilities for that for LDES. I mean, hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. We're now in the testing phase of a hybrid system in Calistoga with liquid hydrogen being the base source for fuel cells, and then batteries work as shock absorbers. But we are now in testing phase and want to show that data, show the project off, and then show the solution to islands that work with limited space, that this technology is ready to go and proven. And what funding mechanisms now we can look to beyond research.
Yeah, so once you find an emerging market island, so IFC's remit is only in emerging markets, but that's not to say that the client has to be from an emerging market. Deployment just has to be in emerging markets. So once you find a client, and the client says, yes, we'd like to definitely check out your technology, see if it makes sense to put up a pilot, or a full facility, not a pilot, a full facility, then yeah, we'd be interested in speaking with you. One caveat though is for the client of IFC would be the one that you find in an emerging market, whether it's a small island developing state country government, or it's a maybe a private utility on the island.
Very
Great.
good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sonny, and very interesting question. Augusta, I think we are at the end.
Yes, we are.
No, it was a
Yes.
very interesting anyway discussion panel, and everything will be has been recorded, will be available anyway, and together with the Long Duration Energy Council, we will of course communicate anyway, send the link anyway. Yes, so feel free to reach us anyway for further question, etc. Anyway, Augusta, maybe from your side, what any comments to close?
No, thank you so much, everyone, for your time. This is the first of this kind of sessions that we've had with the Greening the Island Foundation, and it's obviously very interactive. So we hopefully going to have similar to come in the future. And yeah, thank you so much for joining, and look forward to staying connected. Thanks, everyone. Have a good morning and rest of the afternoon.
Thank you, Augusta. Great cooperation, and thank you all for the attendance, and hope it was useful. And yes, we keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Thanks for the time.
Bye-bye.